This is what happens when you name your company with a Z. You go last just about every time. So, but it's part of the deal. So my name's Trip Corey. I'm one of the founding members of Zoomi and Chief Commercial Officer. And Zoomi is artificial intelligence for learning. So a couple of things that we saw in the education space, and this is really where the Zoomi was founded, was some university professors who just saw an incredible opportunity to scale education through MOOCs and digital media, but yet saw 90+% dropout rates and said, gosh, there's got to be a way to do this, right? And we've all heard this story before. Some of the things we've seen consistently in the education space is that if you talk to educators, they all agree that one size does not fit all. But how to create adaptive or personalized content is where things get a little bit tricky. Today, when you look across the marketplace, and in the past when we looked at it and we saw that most of the learning technologies were using a very straightforward AI, a set of if then that rules, and that most of the data they were capturing, if not all, was absolutely descriptive data. The behavioral models were based largely on assessments, and any path switching was actually predefined, pre-authored in ways that required you to do it usually in a specific tool, a specific way, and to actually try to anticipate any potential action or reaction from one of your students. Likewise, these were almost exclusively based on assessments as well. So what Zoomi set out to do was we asked ourselves some very difficult questions. You know, is there a way to use existing content, first of all, so that we can avoid that significant investment of not only building or rebuilding content, but maintaining the content as well, which over time becomes very challenging, especially because with paths, now you have multiple different options at every turn, especially through the assessment parts of the courses. We also wanted to know if there was a way to remove the human bias. Like how much could we leverage the machines so that it wasn't human beings trying to anticipate what would happen next or what it meant that someone answered a question wrong or so on. And then can you actually measure knowledge transfer without an assessment? This was a very fun conversation. And I'm excited to tell you that we definitely believe the answer is yes, and I'll show you. And can we achieve what we call true personalization? Okay, and everybody says they personalize as soon as they can adapt because that's what people want to hear, and it's better than one size fits all, there's no doubt about it. But there's a next level to this. So what makes Zoomi different? What have we done? We've created autonomous AI. So when I say that, we actually have AI, we have over 250 algorithms that, while generalizable, are dedicated to the learning space. This was the passion, this is what was behind this effort. They're over 90% accurate as far as our predictions and as far as our prescriptions. And it's underpinned by peer-oriented research and documented. So leveraging Zoomi for AI, leveraging those 250 algorithms and our autonomous AI, we're actually able to provide autonomous personalization. In addition to that, we're able to take diagnostic and predictive and prescriptive analytics and serve them up virtually in real time. So when you want to know why someone got something wrong, or you want us to tell you whether the person actually understood what it was that you provided to them versus remembered it for the assessment, we can actually do that. Again, this is over 90% accurate, and this is delivered from proprietary research that links learning strategies to knowledge transfer. So we actually have millions and millions of examples of people who went through, and a lot of people talk about capturing data, And the first thing that comes into your head is clickstream data. And while we do capture clickstream data, it is a small piece of what we're capturing in order to make these determinations. And what we've learned through these proprietary studies is that with significant p-values on our side, different patterns of behavior. No particular behavior in and of itself tells you anything. It's the sequences of behavior that tell you what you need to know in order to make these predictions, and then in turn prescribe. So I'm going to leave you with one slide, and I know this is busy, but I think it'll make good sense as I go through it. There's really 4 places that we felt that we could apply these algorithms and our autonomous AI. One was understanding the content, and not just the content, but what it is that you're trying to achieve by delivering the content. We can take both of those, whether it's the curriculum and/or the course itself, ingest them into our system using these algorithms, and automatically, scientifically index them and tag them in a way that a human just probably isn't even capable of, and certainly not at the speed with which we do it. Then there's behavior modeling. This behavior modeling comes from a number of different inputs. One of those are well-established motifs from studied sequences of behaviors that identify specific learning strategies that make these learners predictable. The other is that when the learner's going through the course, we're actually capturing inputs at a fine granular level and then matching them to these millions of motifs that we have in order to help predict what this learner is actually understanding from what they're reviewing versus just remembering for the assessment. We're also able to tap into social learning networks where they exist, which is very exciting because we can take that data that shows who your connectors are, show who your learners are, and so on. And then, of course, assessment models, which continue and will probably always be important in some level because the assessment can actually be something that happens after the fact when you apply it. But when we combine all of those things, we take our AI and individually assess and create models in all 4 of these areas. That's how we're able to deliver this personalized experience. We can actually auto-curate content on the fly in real time based on the user strategy that we pick up during the intervention. And that is Zoomi.